Hi, Soman.
I feel like I'm wearing one of your shirts. This is very like you.
It is. I hate to tell you this. I literally just ordered a shirt that looks like that.
And I'm like,
We're morphing into each other. Or you're morphing into me. I'm never going to morph into you.
This is such Freaky Friday. That would actually be an amazing episode.
I just wait. I do have a fear whenever I watch like a high level athlete or an Olympic event. I have a fear that I will inadvertently body switch with that person in the moment they're supposed to perform some incredible
That is
feat.
my dream. That is what
That's my fear.
I would absolutely dominate. I don't care what skills I come with.
Imagine you body switch into Simone Biles about to do the vault.
I would be
in the all around.
Just fine.
No. That's my thought.
I come home with every piece of metal humanly possible. Speaking of what we're coming home with, people keep
Good
asking if we do Plot Twist merch.
Oh
what
my
would be our first item? Like, what would be the thing?
I love a baseball cap. And I don't think it would, yeah, you hate them, whatever. But I don't think our merch, it's more about what's on the merch. And I don't know if we would do merch that just says like Plot Twist podcast. I think we'd do like our
things, like
The first thing that came to mind for me was moral rot.
You have moral rot, and I would say, Usha, come.
Usha, come.
Anyways.
But like something minimal and cute. I see a lot of merch these days, and I'm like, that's ugly.
Well, if we do put out a piece of merch, you'll know that Victoria had her hands
cute.
all over it. Okay. With that, we're going to wear our merch to when we end up body switched for the Olympics. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Victoria Aveyard, author of The Red Queen and the Realm Breaker series.
And I'm Soman Shinani, author of the School for Good and Evil series. And welcome to Plot Twist, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the biggest swings in our careers. Victoria's Tempest, her very first novel for adults, an epic pirate fantasy.
And Soman's Young World, a red-hot young adult political thriller. Each week, we go behind the curtain of our creative process, and we give you our hot takes on thorny issues in publishing and entertainment. We answer your mailbag questions, plus we pitch plot twists that we want to see in real life.
And today's hot topic, one that's going to lead to all kinds of questions. Can good writing be taught? It's an age-old one. But why don't we just go to our usual first segment first, theme of the week, where each week we come up with our word or phrase that encapsulates everything that's happening to us on and off the page. Why don't you tell us where you were, because we were on the verge of a big milestone.
Yeah, my theme of the week is, I'm free, I'm free.
I love that moment in that movie.
Yeah, I feel like the peasant in Hunchback of Notre Dame who gets released from the stocks, and he's like, I'm free, I'm free. I turned in the second draft of Tempest on time, and now I have a few days off with no guilt, which is a big thing for us because we usually carry so much guilt. Yeah. So I've made all my appointments. Like, I'm going to get my first facial in several years. I've got to get my nails done. I'm going to get a massage. I had to make a vet appointment for my dog. And I have all my list of errands. I love a list. I got my list of errands to check off. I will be picking up the slack at home this week with like grocery shopping and cooking and anything around the house that needs coordinating. But of course, the thing with the peasant from the Hunchback, I'm free, I'm free. He almost immediately trips into another prison.
And he's like, dang it, every time. Dang it.
And I know I'm about to go back into the writing prison very quickly to get back to work, but I'm trying to enjoy that moment of, I'm free, I'm free.
And there's no timeline, right, on when you're going back
No,
into prison?
I'm waiting to hear back on when this draft will turn around to me, but I know I have a couple of things I'm working on while I wait for it. So it's not really a pure, like, I can go to another country kind of day off.
Yeah. And in terms of, because I'm always trying to quantify, now that you're done with this draft, how far do you think you are towards the version that readers are going to see?
We have one more developmental edit. And it's supposed to be into copy edits mid-September by the time I leave for my like mini European tour. So, oh my God, it's going to be locked in like a month and a half.
You're going to get there. You will get there, but I think this period of being totally free, it's kind of amazing because you really can be guilt-free for a little while.
Yes. And the first person, there is one person who is now reading it who is outside my agent and my editors, who is not someone who works in publishing. But she's absolutely like the reader I'm always shooting for, and
Yeah.
we share a lot of the same taste and the same wants. And I sent it to her, and she's about halfway through in a day and a half. She's a fast reader, and she's been texting me, this is the book I was looking for when I was a pirate obsessed like teenager trying to find a pirate book like Pirates of the Caribbean or like Black Sails.
And this is amazing because you're getting your first kind of reader reaction at the same time.
Right.
Are you
But
asking
it's
for
not
feedback?
editorial. No, it's not like a beta read or
Okay.
anything along those lines, even though she absolutely could. She does have a background in creatives. So, but I'm not asking for that. Literally, like I look for gut checks.
Yeah.
So I would always say, even my dad, he gives me a gut check. This one I'm not letting him read
Yeah.
until much later,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
until I can earmark some scenes for him
Yeah.
not to
Yeah. Yeah.
read. But what about your theme for the
Oh
week,
my
Selman?
God, it's the opposite of yours, of course, which is in too deep. There was a period, I'm so curious about your thoughts on what I'm about to talk about, which is there was a period in Young World where I really was in too deep towards the end. And I was just so
Mm.
close to the character, I forgot that I was me. And there was this 5 day stretch towards the very end when winter holidays were happening. So there was no tennis, there was no trainer. And I just wrote for 5 days straight, 80, like 18 hours a day, and almost felt like I was losing my sanity in sub
Oh
zero
my
temperatures in St.
God.
Louis. Great for the book. I read that stretch now, the ending, and I think, oh my God, this thing is so like fucking immersive because I literally lost myself. Totally terrible for my equilibrium. But was it worth it? Yes. Anything for the book in the long run. And now that I'm on to my like new fantasy book, I'm only 20,000 words in, which is about, 15, 20%. And I already feel like I'm in too deep. And I think I'm getting really, really deep into this one because
Mm.
it's like about my shadows and my edges, and it feels very scary.
Ooh.
Like I'm exploring all this stuff that I've never really gone towards. And the book itself is actually scaring me. So I almost feel like I'm having trouble coming out of the writing days at the end of the day and going back to being my normal self. Like I can't
Mhm.
wake up out of the dream. And I think this will all make sense when people read it. But in the meantime, it feels like a very intense, uncomfortable experience. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you've ever faced that where you felt like you actually had crossed to the other side and you couldn't quite like find your way back.
Um, no. And I have heard so many other authors explain this experience before, or
Mm.
like they get so connected to the work, they cry, they like get sick. And I just think maybe I'm not a real writer.
I
Because I have that. I've had those days where I've pulled like 8,000,
mhm.
10,000 word writing days, multiple days in a row. And you finish every day like eyes bleeding. I can't look anywhere, but it's a physical pain. And for me, mentally, I'm like, the door shuts. I'm back. I can dissociate and not think about it. And I want to jump back into my real life.
Yes.
I would say it is interesting when you set out to write a book thinking or not even with a theme in mind or a message in mind or something interior in mind. You're just like, I want to tell this story. I love
Mhm.
this concept. And then you start writing it and you realize you're telling yourself something about you that
Yes.
you didn't really maybe know
Yes.
was there. And I'm having that experience with Tempest where I'm realizing like how deeply rooted in feminist survival
Mm.
this book is and how much I am telling myself like it's okay to choose yourself and put yourself first and be who you need to be to survive.
Which is not, of course, against all the messages that society gives you
Uh-huh.
as a woman, you know?
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because I was thinking, I wonder if part of this is also the fact that you map out, your story ahead of time, and
Mm.
so at some level, you see where you're going. You can see the kind of like dark edges and everything, and dig in almost from a safe place because
A
you
little
know
bit.
what it is.
It's my control.
Whereas I just feel like because I start and just go, sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, this is where we're going. Like it's a little bit
When
like,
can you tell us anything more about what you're working
ooh,
on?
as soon as
I
Young
know we're
World
so
comes out.
early.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Young World will come out. It'll have its moment of kind of neon brightness, and then this is just a whole other. This is like me going back to
This was
romanticy.
sold on proposal, right?
This was sold on proposal. This was
And it's
sold on
back at
a
Harper?
no. So
Oh,
I
that's right.
will
It's a
I will tell
penguin.
that story. No, no, no. It's not a
Oh,
penguin
so
either.
is it Random House?
I will tell that story when the time
Oh, wait,
comes.
we haven't announced where it
We haven't
is?
announced where it is.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. Everyone will hear that story when the time comes.
I feel like at a certain point we're gonna have to start like doing this with notes of what we can and cannot say.
I'm all for accidental
But
reveals.
I've been given more guidance on what I can say for Tempest for a certain thing everybody wants to know about, and I can't talk about it yet.
Oh, good. But yeah, I think for me, it's like Young World's done, and this one I'm in the
Mm,
process. So there is this feeling of, um, for the first time in my career, I'm sort of in two worlds at once, which we've talked a
right.
lot
Well,
about on
that
this
was going to be
podcast.
my next question for you is do you feel like you've really unbraided from Young World now? Because the proof is back.
Well, still have it, and I have to do one more read. So I think we'll talk about that in a second, because that's
Yeah.
going to be
Okay.
where we get into these
Getting
the next
ahead.
segment, which is our goals for the week.
Okay, get into it.
Where we talk about our milestones and how we did last week. So let's talk about last week. I'll
Mm-hmm.
go first, which is
Yeah.
number one, chapter 8 of the fantasy book. Almost like a B plus. Like I'm hopefully going to finish that in the next few days. And the reason why we were just talking about the two worlds is I feel like until I have this chapter done, which is a huge chapter of introducing the world,
Mm,
I can't start on the proof because
yeah.
I struggle. I'm like you. I struggle to be in two worlds at once. So I
Mm-hmm.
need to alternate. I need to go between the two.
You almost need to reach like safe
Yes.
islands.
What
Yeah.
a good way to put it. You have to reach safe island with one to then hop to the other. And I'm not quite
Right.
there yet, but time is running out because I only have 9 days, 8 days for the Young World proof. So I need to get to safe island pretty soon so I can work on
Okay. And how much of the proof do you have
zero.
left?
I have not even. It's sitting right there. I need to work on it, but I need to get it to safe island first. And then my birthday happened, and like, how can you do two islands at a birthday at the same time?
Oh my God. And normally, proof, if someone were to say you have 9 days left on the proof, normally we'd be like, bah, that's nothing. I could do this in a day, speed through it. But you are in a very interesting position where your proof is still so complicated and requires
So
so
complicated.
much oversight.
So much. It's just so many details and everything, but I will get there. I
Okay.
just will power down. Okay, so then my third goal for last week was we needed the stained edge done, even though we were on round 20 and no one was happy. So this will not surprise you. I went rogue and into diva mode, and I hired three more designers completely on my own to start fresh and give us completely new ideas.
This is not the problematic button anymore. This is Soman's diva button. You
I
do
just
more
was like,
diva things than problematic things, so I'm going to hit the button for diva things.
I had the same moment I had with Usha Vance, where I was like, enough.
That's our merch, diva moment.
Oh
Soman
God.
moment.
And then last but not least was to launch the Coach Alpha program, which I've kind of alluded to here, which is a
Mm,
coaching lab for teenagers to get them really thinking about a future where to have a competitive advantage, you have to present yourself as human and not a robot,
what a
which
concept.
requires moving past AI and actually finding your voice and committing to it to become a real teenager in the future. So for college applications, job applications, career path, dating, literally everything that young people need in the world, I'm going to show them the secret weapon to staying human, and that's my Coach Alpha Lab. So I just
Okay.
posted the teaser today. Tomorrow I'll be revealing it. By the time everyone hears this, it'll be out, and we'll be selling tickets to the pilot program in St. Louis. So that was everything for last week. This week, super simple. Number one, finish chapter 8 of the fantasy book and get to Safe Island. Number two, go to the Young World Island and finish that proof. Number three, manage the Coach Alpha launch. And number four, I'm going to go to Miami for a couple of days and see my folks with my partner. So,
I love that you're thinking of Coach Alpha specifically in terms of for teenagers.
mm,
Would you ever expand it to be for authors? Because I think so many of us, regardless of like our level of success, if we're starting out, if we're a veteran, we are all looking at AI and thinking, how do we beat this thing? And more so about like speed and quantity of work versus quality. Because I think you're right. We're still at the place where the quality is like meh.
hmm
But now where if you go and look at the Amazon like top 100, the Kindle list, there are a lot of things in there that you're like,
this was
I'm
interesting.
nervous.
I feel like Coach Alpha is going to be teenager specific. And I feel like what we're doing, because I know the answers for them. Like I honestly know what to teach them, all the things to move them in the direction of being more committed to their individual self and their voices.
Mm,
AI and authorship is so tricky that I feel like the only way I'm ever going to figure that out is with you. So I feel like this arena is
hmm
constantly sort of shape shifting. Our podcast is almost developed, if you look at the through line of it, into what does this career look like now? You
Yeah,
know, so I feel like this is our version of Coach Alpha for authors, where every week we're kind of
and for
wrestling for it.
ourselves.
And for that's what I'm saying with ourselves. All right, your turn.
Oh,
Tell us
man.
everything about last week first.
Okay, so my first goal was to turn in Tempest and take a few days off. A plus,
Mm,
flying colors until the guilt sets in, and it will set in. But
100%.
I'm still in the I actually need to do errands and I need to
Mhm.
I can drop off this thing and I can go here and I can that's amazing. I actually had to like make a vet appointment for Indy because I think she's got an ear infection. And they were like, "Can you come in at 2 o'clock today?" And I'm like, "I can." Incredible.
I'm so jealous. What an amazing feeling.
I know. And the second goal was to clean my garage. Um, and we actually did. My parents came over, we cleaned my garage. I got a quote for the fence that we need to fix. I feel like a functioning person. I felt very here's the thing. I felt very proud of the garage clean. And then this morning at 7:30 a.m., my mother texted me a company that would further organize my garage and like build storage units in it. And I'm like, "Mom, I I did what I thought I needed to do
You
for
got
the
the A
garage.
plus. You got
I can't handle this energy at 7:30 on a Monday morning."
no, you got the A. Enough is enough.
And then back to like work stuff. My last goal was going through that phone call with Susie, getting
Mhm.
a roadmap for what I'm writing after Tempest. And I think that went really well because I've sent my one sheets to Susie. They've
Finally.
actually gone to her. And we discussed, how we would approach a sales plan
Mhm.
for whatever I write next. But we need to get some other things hammered down first
Yeah.
so we know which way I'm going.
Yep, yep. So it sounds like you're almost at this weird clean slate. Like your goals are not carrying forward anymore.
So weird. This book in particular, Tempest in particular, has been weird for a lot of different reasons.
Mhm.
It's new, it's adult, it's a braided timeline, so every chapter goes back and forth. So
Mm.
that was new for me, and then also just navigating how I'm writing it and what we're doing with it on the production side,
Mm.
all new. My goals for this week are pretty light, and everyone's going to be like, "Wow, she doesn't work." I promise I do. But my goals are like errands and appointments. My biggest my biggest mountain to climb is probably the mountain of laundry that I have to put away.
Oh no, this is how we started episode 1 with you being like, my goal is to put the laundry away. That's already folded.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It was
back to the
so bad.
beginning.
The executive dysfunction on the laundry side. I'm sure there's some therapist who's like, "Here's the reason for that, Victoria."
Mm.
But whatever. Tell me. Um, my second goal is to finish reading The Familiar by Lee Bardugo. I'm still loving it. It's
Mm.
so good. And again, gives me hope in the market. And I really want people to find this book because it's exactly what we want.
Mm.
I also want to get some feedback from Susie on those one sheets and get those pub sided questions about specifically the Realm Breaker books and what we're doing there. So I know where my attention is going next.
Mhm.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I'd like to get together a donation pile for all my books because, as you can see, those are just mine. I have so many books, and I'm sure you have the same situation because we get sent
Yep.
books. We don't even know. They show up at the door in the box. Great. But I know a lot of them are languishing on my shelf and could go to good homes.
Uh, I get them sent to the farmhouse and they're on the upstairs floor, and Scott is concerned that the floor is going to collapse.
Well, that's a new one.
It's just there, sit there until, yeah. But you know what? This is an interesting call where it would be nice to get people who could use those books
Yes.
in our
Yes.
inbox. So if
And it
you
would be
have,
cool if publishers asked because once they have your address, they have your address.
Mhm.
And some books show up in my door, and I'm like, I do not want this.
Oh, this is other people's books. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for 100% sure. So anyway, if you are connected to an organization or a classroom or anything like that that needs
Mm,
books, definitely send us a message.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
classrooms would be the best, I think the best usage of my book donations.
and the other thing that jumped out at me from your goals, and it's a good question, is you were saying you have some pub-sided questions about Realmbreaker. I think there's an interesting episode or segment to talk about at some point with this question of what data as authors do we need in order to do our job? Do you know what I mean? Like what info do we need from the publisher in order to
Mm,
like manage our careers, you know?
we get no data.
No.
But it is interesting because it depends on what publisher you're at because a
Mhm.
lot of I can't remember which publisher it is. I know it's not mine. They have like the author portal where you can log in and see your numbers. I do not have that. I have to physically ask. And even then, it's like you might get it in a couple of weeks. And there's not really much I want to do with that information.
Well, the other interesting thing about, and this will be its own episode, is authors are paid twice yearly on royalties, and we
Right.
have
That's
no clue what that's going to be. So, in terms of your financial planning or anything like that,
Mhm.
we don't know anything. My dad constantly is like, "You're telling me that you're in a profession that you get paid twice a year, and you cannot tell me until the day of what that number is going." I said, "Yep."
How about foreign rights? They come when they come,
They come
and
when
you're
they
like,
come, and you don't
"Okay."
even know. Yeah, it's like you live in a perpetual like Willy Wonka's factory where you open the
Yes.
chocolate and is there gold or is
Yes.
there not?
The only money we can plan around is contracted advance money. That's
That's
the
it.
only time we know, okay, I'm getting paid XYZ, and usually on this date, unless it's the
Mm.
delivery and acceptance one, and that one's going to be in flux based on when you finish. But everything else is based around when you sign and publication.
Everything else is just a mystery.
Yeah.
We
That's why
live
it's
in.
good to have investments.
Agreed. We'll do. You know what? We'll do a financial episode for sure. All right.
No, we will not. I'm not the one you would talk to my dad.
Well, yeah,
We'll
our
stick
dads will
Lou.
do it.
We'll stick Lou in
And
his
my
chair.
dad. Yeah, well, what a podcast.
Oh my
Oh
God, the
God.
thought of our dads doing a podcast?
Oh my God. We'll learn from it. Everybody will learn. Everyone will.
No.
Everyone's net worth will significantly go
My
up
dad
after
will
listening
get
to their
canceled in
dads.
the first 10 seconds.
My dad will join him. All right. Well, we are back. We're going to get into our real cancelable part of the episode, industry nonsense. And we are back with Industry Nonsense, where we dive into thorny issues in art and publishing that other people are always afraid to touch, and we just go straight at it. In this particular episode, we are asking the age-old question: can good writing be taught? All right, so why don't you start us off?
My diva button, cancel button is ready for you,
Let's do it.
Soman.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I think we're going to go back and forth on this one
Mm.
because I do think there are a lot of vital skills surrounding writing that can absolutely be taught, or are part of your own will. So there's like your focus, your work ethic, growing a thick skin, learning how to collaborate artistically, and I guess the overall improvement of your craft as a writer expands as you do it. You keep doing it and you keep learning and you keep getting better. We all go into this with our books hoping the next thing is the best thing and that we're continuing to grow and improve as artists. But can that be taught? I'm not sure because I think art inherently requires you to reach back and do the work.
Mm.
And I worry that saying, yes, good writing can be taught will like encourage people to sign up for workshops or classes and think that that's all there is
Mm.
to it, to like throw money at it, to build up a big infrastructure when unfortunately the thing at the center, the writing itself, the book itself, is going to be the weak point. So you can take 1,000 writing classes and still be a bad writer, especially if you don't put the effort in to develop those skills of collaboration, of learning how to take criticism, of learning what you're good at and what you're bad at.
Mm.
Um, I guess it is similar to asking if any other highly specialized skill can be taught. Could I be taught to be an NFL quarterback, even with all the coaches and all the money
Mm.
in the world? Absolutely not. And nobody would argue that. Nobody would hear that and think, "Oh, you're being so negative or you're being so
Mhm.
rude or why would you say that?" People certainly would argue that writing, good writing, that our talent can be taught.
Mm.
And it seems a lot of our conversations on this podcast dance around this growing sense that what we do isn't actually special, or that what we do can be achieved through sheer force of will alone, and that there isn't something in our spirit or in our journey that hasn't developed us to do this
Mm.
thing. And there's also this, I get it, especially now when social media has everyone else's wins like thrown in your face. There is this inherent pressure to succeed now, to get the thing now, even if you haven't done the work or given yourself the time to grow, the opportunity to grow, the space to become good. Um, and some writers are able to do good work, to put out good writing at age 18 or 24. And some writers don't start until their 40s or their 50s or their 60s or even later. And it's important to be able to know yourself and know when you need more time
Mhm.
and development and listen to the people who might say that. We do have to divorce from the idea that talent equals success. I know plenty of people that I think are untalented, but have found great success. And I'm sure plenty of people think that about me too. So we're not gonna read too deep into it. while there are many things within our control in our creation of our art and our pursuit of art as a career, there are things we can affect through our own choices. I think there are at least two things that we cannot. There is, I think, natural talent, our eye, our perspective, whatever the thing is that we can do that someone else maybe can't. And then there's luck. And sometimes luck comes in the form of privilege, whether it's the right agent reading your manuscript at the right time, or mom and dad are paying rent, so I can afford to try and fail and try again. That luck is beyond our control. So I'd absolutely say you can gather all the pieces, you can collect all the requirements, you can hit all the checkpoints that you think that you have to hit. But that doesn't mean it's all going to come together properly. And there is something intrinsic to good writing that cannot be controlled. And sometimes it comes with time or growth or continued practice and training that you have to do. And sometimes that thing might not materialize at
Mm.
all. Not everyone can be an NFL quarterback. We all get that. I wonder why it's poor form to say not everyone can be a good writer.
Mm.
But again, good writing doesn't always mean a successful career as a writer. And that is another conversation entirely.
I love how this question opens up so many other questions that you're like going through and then
I have
coming
no
back. I feel
answers.
like you're Spider-Man in like the multiverse trying to like balance all these things because it's opening up. This one question is so fundamental to everything. So
Hmm.
let me answer all the different portals you've opened up by talking about tennis, because that's what I do
I need a tennis button.
when I have no answers to any of your questions. And because I actually love your NFL analogy, which is, every morning, I think I've talked about this before, I play tennis with kids from the local D1 tennis teams at SLU and WashU. And it's one of the great joys of my life. And I'm grateful that I can keep up with them for now, until one day I get too old. But what's interesting is noticing the difference between the good tennis players on these college teams and the really special ones. Because if you look at them just on the surface, they all are talented and they have great technique. And when you're just hitting, all of them are like machines that can blow you off the court. In the same way that when you look at a lot of writing, it all looks competent. It all looks
Hmm.
like the subject and the verb and everything is in the right place and there's rhythm and all that sort of stuff. But when you look closer, when you're in the thick of the emotional presence of competition, right? And this is analogous to writing in the sense of when you're in there reading it and it's just you and the words, and you start testing it and breaking it apart and deconstructing it and asking questions of, the guy on the other side of the net, which I'm constantly doing with all my years of experience in tennis, which is disrupting them and really starting to break them down. I see the difference between those who are good at the game and
Hmm.
those that love the game. The ones who didn't just play because they were forced to or saw an opportunity to make money or get a scholarship or because they were told they were good at it. And the ones who have this kind of spark of life in the way they play because the racket has become this extension of their soul, right? Like tennis is part of who they are. And I
Hmm.
love playing against those kids because when that's, I guess, my spirit too. And when two of you are on there, it feels like magic. And I feel like that's analogous to writing. When the reader is in there wanting something, deep, and the writer's in there committed to something deep, you're going to have this kind of magical bond, even though you've never met each other. And so I think almost there is something now, especially in this age of Gen AI, to ask the question of, can you become a good writer is one thing, but I think it's almost deeper. Do you like to write anymore? Or are you just interested in the fruits of your labor? Because if it's the latter, then the temptation of Gen AI and chasing
Yeah.
easy trends to make a buck and spending all your time making marketing material on TikTok and not doing any writing and all of that is going to become the crux of your career rather than us, which is we're relishing the daily battle against the blank page because that's what matters to us, which is fine. You can turn writing into some kind of mercenary, hunt for a grail where it just becomes about chasing money. And you can use all the shortcuts and everything like that, and the writing doesn't actually matter. But I think that's going to lead to a world where you have more flash in the pans and more instant success and everyone talking
Hmm.
about their success. But that's going to just lead to, I think, ultimately a lot of little tiny glints in the pan and nothing big.
Hmm.
I also think the other thing I was thinking about, just the basic question of can good writing be taught? I think if you have talent and you go to a lot of classes and workshops in an MFA program, there's a significant chance that the brutality of the criticism gauntlet, where people tear each other down to lift themselves up and get a better grade from the teacher and all that stuff, can actually snuff out the joyful spark in your work. I took School for Good and Evil to an early workshop when I was 26 at the New
Oh
School in New
God.
York, and it lasted 2 classes before I quit because people were just so mean. I think if you just follow that path, you end up with this kind of desiccated,
Mm,
deadened prose. You've read a ton of this, I'm sure. That sounds gorgeous and lyrical and has no life, and it's all the adult
ugh.
novels that come out of those prestigious MFA programs. So I think the last thing I would say is, I think the more interesting point that also is emerging, which you touched upon, is that good writing isn't required to be a successful writer. For all the reasons we've talked about. You can repackage fan fiction, you can AI it, you can just, you know, do an OnlyFans account with your book and no one cares about the book. So, you know, all of these are cheats. And I also think it is a mask for a deeper question, which everyone listening who is an aspiring author right now is asking. And what they really want us to answer is they're asking us, do I have it? Do I have what it takes to make it in the big leagues? And I think it comes down to this question of, are you doing it for the love, or are you doing it for
Mm,
the money and the success? Because that's going to lead to two very different types of existing in this career.
yeah. And we work in an industry where there is one metric and it's sales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but your best-selling book might not be your best book.
Yep.
And that's a real interesting kind of torture. I'm in it. I love Realmbreaker. I think Realmbreaker is so much better than Red
Mm.
Queen. And I'm so proud of it. And I feel like I really did myself a great service in writing those books. I really, put my work in and did what I wanted to do there. And then that's not the book that's still, increasing or
Mhm.
or finding new audiences. Red Queen is, which is great. I'm very happy about that, but it is interesting to be at that sort of intersection where you think this thing is better, but this thing is selling. How do
Mm.
I put those two things together?
Mhm.
Um, you also made me think as you were talking about, well, do you actually like writing? And that's going to be a metric in can you be a good writer? I think and I immediately had this thought. I have so much empathy for the tragedy of loving writing,
Mm.
loving storytelling, wanting this thing more than you want anything else, and still not being good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think we see that a lot too. And I see it every single day of people who live and breathe these stories, who love them so much, but cannot make themselves do the thing. And it's almost like someone, my brain went to Center Stage, the
Mm.
ballet
Yeah, yeah,
movie,
yeah.
where someone says, "You didn't have the feet, I didn't have the heart."
Right.
Imagine not being loving ballet, loving dancing, knowing every single thing about it, and you just don't have the feet,
You know what's
and there's nothing you
interesting?
can do.
I was thinking about this too, is if you have there's almost like a basic level of talent needed,
Yes.
that in every other industry, we were talking about this once, playing the violin or playing football, you have to clear in order to write.
Mm,
Writing is a little different because everyone thinks they can do it. So you're not weeded out early.
yeah.
You're not taken out early. And so it can be stressful because you can hold on to that delusion longer than you need to. But if you do have that basic level, like that basic talent, and you aren't the best writer in the world, passion can somehow, like, I think of
Mm,
Twilight, right? I think Twilight is not that well written, but man, the
there's an X
passion in those
factor.
books, I mean, like, the intensity. And so it's that intensity. You can tell how much, so when she went home to work on it, it comes through in those. I mean, I remember feeling like, oh my God, like the charge that she had writing it, passes through. Or A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. It's not the best written book in the world, but man, the commitment. So,
Mm.
but the love of it. And I guess the question I'm asking you, because I want the answer and I don't have it, is when you have that passion, that commitment, and you just burn it onto a page, is AI going to be able to replicate that? So can the cheaters replicate that? You know?
The cheaters don't care. That's the thing that we come back to is the people who are listening to us, the people who are empathizing with the threat of generative AI, the people who want to best generative
Mhm.
AI. They're not even the audience we really are trying to reach. The people who think that they can go into generative AI, LLM or ChatGPT and say, "I want a book like XYZ meets XYZ," and it spits out 7
Mhm.
prompts and they're like, "There's my books." They
He
do not care.
But can the
They
reader,
do not
okay, so let's
know.
put the writers
I
aside.
think I think in it depends on the reader, it depends on what they're expecting, it depends on how they engage with books. Because there's definitely there's a spectrum of readership and there is a subset of readership where it is like just about consumption
Mm,
and hitting the same button a million times so that they get the pleasure of that thing that they love,
mm,
which is a valid reason to read books. But I feel like that audience, especially when it's like a generative AI prompt or like a generative AI enhanced book, not
yeah.
necessarily a generative AI completely produced, I don't think it's going to be noticed.
It's funny because I think about this all the time. Sometimes just to understand ChatGPT, I'll say, okay, I want to write a paragraph about X, in the style of me. And it shows it to me. And at first I panic and I think, oh my God, this sounds like me. Like, but if you just poke at it, right? If you just poke at it, you're like,
But
oh,
people don't
this is
poke.
nonsense. And the question is, do people
People don't
poke?
poke. And this explains so many things to me whenever I'm like, I don't understand. I think I go through the world thinking I am of average intelligence.
Mm,
I am incorrect. The average intelligence of the average person is much lower
mm.
than we think it is. And then
Well,
you think 50% of people are below that. So I just think we're engaging naturally as writers, as the creators in this space, we're engaging differently. Even if we're like, I want to just read this book and turn my brain off, we are still engaging differently than a reader.
well, also in the sense of the new gen, and no matter, how smart, how intelligent, how critical thinking you are at a young age, the use of AI and the tone of it, and you're trying to get
Oh,
used to the rhythm patterns and the language. So when you read an AI book, it actually feels real to you. And there's this fear for me that you don't actually know what a real book is, because you
hmm.
haven't had, so that you'll start to read AI books and be like, no, and then you'll read like one of ours or somebody else's, or you'll read The Hours by Michael Cunningham and be like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Are the
Because
tastes going to
how the
change?
taste's going to change. So it's a lot of
We're
fear around
scared.
this.
We're
There's a lot of fear.
scared,
Yeah,
guys.
which is why there's no Coach Alpha program for authors yet. And this is our lab, But I
Yeah.
I do believe with these two books that we're writing, by us discussing the process and talking about what we're doing and showing the behind the scenes, when people get in there, I think they're going to understand. This is my prayer for this podcast and everything that we're doing, is they're going to have this unconscious feeling of an author wrote this and went through this for 2 or 3 years, and I'm going to be in there with them, and there's no machine, like it's human to human, let's go, and I just pray that is how. I know you're cynical, but I just pray that's how people will
It's
engage
not
with it.
that I'm cynical. It's just that I think there are some readers who absolutely will connect in that way. And there are readers who are just like, what is on the page?
Mm.
And they are not thinking about the author beyond the little
Mhm.
picture of us in the back of the book at all. And that is okay. That's like
Yeah.
what we're meant to be doing is just dipping you into the world and making that process as smooth as possible. So you aren't carrying anything else with you and you are just buckled into the roller coaster and experiencing and hopefully thinking as you're experiencing, thinking as you're escaping, and having things presented to you in new ways that might, when you come back out of it, think, oh my God, what?
Mm.
That's what we're shooting for. So I think it's hard to be like, okay, now we're going to have all these extra elements that we're putting out that we need someone to take in with them,
I totally
besides what's
agree with
on the
you.
page.
I tell you, it's almost like we're creating these fail safes for ourselves to feel better about it. But at the end of the day, we are going to have to compete with the robots. I
We're
think.
all coming in this with these illusions of control. And that I think is one of the
Yes.
reasons why you see so many authors out here on social media, you know, breaking our backs trying to push our books, create community, and hopefully reach new readers because we have this illusion that if we do the right thing, if we hit the right button, if we use the right sound, like this is going to sell our book. And then suddenly we won't have to do that anymore.
And for me, the hope is that firm belief that when they're sitting there on the subway or in a park or on the beach, and they've got our book in their hands and no other distraction, they're going to be like, "This is different. This is different." And that's all I think, I can
Mm,
hope for.
yeah. And maybe this is again our therapy and us just talking it out.
Mm,
Maybe we also need to accept we can never match the output. We can never match the quantity and the
no.
speed of generative AI. We just can't. We're not computers. We
Mhm.
can't do it.
Which is so interesting, because I think your temptation, from all our, discussions so far, you feel the pressure to speed up, and I take it as license to slow down because you think you have to, and I think slow down, show that this took time.
Yeah. But I now am also heavily fantasizing about taking those 5 days
Mhm.
over those empty holidays or whenever it is, locking myself in a room and writing a speed draft of a 120,000 word book and see what happens.
I mean, it'll
It's appealing.
at the very least, it'll give you more information for us
Yes,
to.
I'm really impressed by a lot of indie authors who have those models where they're like, I'm putting out a book every 2 or 3 months, and they're long, like, long books, and they're able to do that. It's just, I don't know how to get myself there.
All I just think of is my screenwriting teacher when I was delivering like one sequence in film school, like every 2 weeks, and kids would come in with their whole draft. And I would just be like, why am I so slow? And she goes, don't worry, they're going to have to rewrite all of it.
Well, a screenplay is only 20,000 words.
I know, but it still took me forever.
If we turned our powers now on a screenplay, dusted.
Oh,
No, it
man.
would take just as long.
Well, on that very sad note, where we don't
Mm,
have resolution for you, but at the very
none.
least, we gave you some more threads to tangle with, and that we will pick these up, I'm sure, in
We
future
gave you
episodes.
more anxiety.
More anxiety. I know. Everyone's like, we come to this place for calm, and they didn't get it this
You
week.
came to the wrong place, buddy.
And when we're back, we're actually going to try to definitively answer some of your questions. So, reader mailbag coming up. And we are back with Reader Mailbag, where we answered two of our favorite questions from our overflowing inbox, but we are getting through to them, one by one. From Osha, as someone who is set on being traditionally published, when do you know you are ready to start querying agents? So let me start with this one because I know
Hmm.
you might have thoughts on this, which is I believe in the method I taught students for a long time when I was tutoring to do college applications, which is make a list of all the agents you want, rank them in terms of desirability. And then when you really think your draft is done, like you've gotten it as far as you can get and you've gotten feedback from others and they think it's ready to, don't ask ChatGPT because it's going to blow smoke up your ass and make you try to use it more. Then you can send the manuscript to the first 5 agents on your list. And, the ones that you're not necessarily that excited about, but they're still there. And you can wait for feedback from them, see if there's common threads, and then you can revise and go to the next 5. And through that, you can gradually work your way up to your top choices by getting feedback from agents along the way. I mean,
Mm.
that's how I would do it. But tell me what you think.
I am not really the person to ask about querying because I didn't traditionally query. My agent Susie read the first draft of Red Queen. A film contact of mine sent along the manuscript to her agency. The only edits that had been done on it at that point were copy edits that my mom did. Um, so while I do agree with Soman that you should give yourself the best chance possible, do all the work that you feel the book needs, I am also, because of my experience, again, take it with a grain of salt, I'm a little bit in the camp of making yourself shove the book out of the
Mm,
nest and seeing if it flies. I will also say, and there are exceptions to this, of course, but as soon as someone tells me I've been working on this book for 10 years, I see red flags.
mm,
And I think that about screenplays too. I think you should stop working on that book and go work on something else and at the very least cleanse the palette. Write something entirely different. If you've been working at a book for 10 years, either you've like been trying to query it for 10 years and you're not getting any traction, or you've been just finessing it for 10 fucking years.
mhm.
You got to work on something else and maybe come back and you'll look at your new thing and think, oh, actually, this is done. Or, oh, this thing is flawed and maybe flawed in a way where I need to put it away. And I said this on my a TikTok a few days ago, but there is this misconception that if you write something and it doesn't get published or it doesn't find a reader, it's a waste.
Mm,
That is absolutely incorrect. We work at an art and in a job where every single thing you do, every piece of writing you do, regardless of whether it ever sees the light of day, it is worth something to you.
mhm.
It is a step forward for you as a writer. Um, so I really want people not to beat themselves up over if something doesn't work, because at the end of the day, at the very least, you got that step forward. You got that practice. You got that development of yourself, of your writing and your craft. And it hurts, but it's worth something still. You and I, we complain about the publishing schedules and the speed of
Mm,
production for a book, but it does have a silver lining in that we can't languish in it and be our own worst enemies.
mm. So, I mean, I think the lesson you brought up there, which is so good, and I wish everyone could have it at some point in their life, even though it sounds devastating, is to write something and have it be rejected, but the rejection teaches you what's needed for the next
Mhm.
thing. I was so
Mhm.
lucky to get it in 10th grade. I worked on this huge creative project for my final project for my English class with the teachers I loved. And there were no grades in the class. Luckily, she did this whole portfolio system. And at the end, came to me and she's like, "This isn't good, and there's nothing you can do with it." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "But," she goes, "you're going to learn so much from having done this thing."
Mhm.
She's like, "There's so many risks in here. It's so bold. It doesn't work at all, but this is such a good stepping stone." And there was something about working on something for, I think, 4 months at the time in school and putting my heart and soul into it. And the teacher being like, "This sucks, but like, I still completely believe in you. Go to the next thing." Um, it meant a lot. And I think to have that, whether when you're young or professionally, you need that moment because you realize, like, okay, actually, it doesn't matter. Like, just keep going, make the next thing. Something's going to
Mhm.
happen at some point if you have the thing, which we've been talking about.
Yeah,
If you have the magic, and whether you have the magic or not, no one can say until, you know, your letter
I
from
agree.
the magic school arrives. So,
Yeah. I mean, every screenplay I've ever written, you guys haven't seen those.
mm.
One got sold, and it was partially because they just wanted to take it off the market as a competition piece.
When I was 14, I decided to write a screenplay for the first time, and it was about a blind assassin who moonlights as a prostitute at night. And my brother was, and she had an Irish accent.
Big character development there. I'm in for the blind assassin.
And my brother was like, "What is this thing?" I was just like, he's like, "Have you been to Ireland? I wrote this whole Irish." I'm like, "I know."
Wait, so she was a blind assassin in Ireland, but also a prostitute in
Yes.
Ireland. I get the sex worker aspect of it as like a benefit to the assassin. Like this is how she infiltrates. Like that's great. I don't get the Ireland of it.
And I already had written a letter to Barbara Streisand telling her she had to direct it.
So, wait, how old were you?
14.
The delusions have lasted for so long.
So
You came out
long.
of the womb voguing, deluded.
God, it was bad. We still look for it every holiday. My brother's like, "Where is that fucking screenplay about the blind assassin prostitute?"
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man. Okay. Our second question from Lauren. How do you find the balance between incorporating tropes that readers love in a particular genre without it feeling like a cliche? You should take this one first.
Oh yeah, I'm a trope girl. I fucking love a
Mm,
trope. I am all about my tropes. Um, by the way, before I get into my answer, if you are also a trope person, but you're like, what are tropes? And I didn't know this thing was a trope. There is a fantastic website called TV Tropes, and it will have every single trope imaginable and what pieces of media you've seen them in, whether it
mm,
be a book, a TV show, a movie. I use it all the time when I'm trying to figure something out or where I need inspiration or sort of like, what was the flavor? What was where did I get this from? Oh, right. It's that. And they
mm,
have names for all of it. It's so much fun. Have fun on TV tropes. Um, I think there's something to be said for writing for yourself and making yourself kick your feet as you write. Jennifer Lynn Barnes had this talk called like writing for the id, and it's been taken off the internet, and I know some people have it, but it from what I hear, it's like life changing in
mm,
terms of telling you how to write both for yourself and for the id of the reader to make
mm,
something addictive. I just added a scene in Tempest that was pure id for me.
mm,
It was a ball. Someone's in
mm,
disguise. She knows he's in disguise, but the other attendees don't know, and they will kill this guy if he's recognized. Oh no, someone's coming who will recognize
mm,
him. I have to hide you in the garden. How will I make sure he doesn't see your face? And I'm just kicking my little feet as I'm writing this scene. And it's very tropey. And it's absolutely, got shades of all these different things, but it's still very, very fun for me. And I'm enjoying myself while I'm writing it. And you hope that enjoyment translates on the page to the reader. So you have to have fun with the tropes yourself. You have to enjoy them. It cannot be about checking boxes so you can make a TikTok about how your book is knife to throat or some shit like that. Tropes work for a reason, but they also have to organically work for the story and work for you.
mm.
Um, I call Realm Breaker my kitchen sink book. It's just everything I love in fantasy balanced with stakes and tension and as much realism as one can imbue in a high fantasy quest. And I feel like that's how I round it out. He's an immortal prince. She's an assassin. She also is like, hey, we have to kill people and you're going to have to get over it. I love having those realistic ends to the trope and kind of calling them out as you're using them.
Mm. This is amazing because we're on totally opposite sides of the spectrum in the sense of I don't really read in my when I'm writing fantasy, read in a fantasy genre at all because I tend to just read a lot of adult romance and adult thrillers, but it tends to be contemporary. And so
Hmm.
my knowledge of, especially when I was writing in middle grade and even when I was doing Young World, my knowledge of the established tropes is pretty kind of weak. And also I'm not so active on TikTok, so I don't even know that some of these tropes are called things. So what's interesting is it's good and bad. Good because, bad because sometimes I think I've invented a trope that literally is like,
Delusion.
the total delusion. The other, but the good part is sometimes I find a lane that never existed. Like with School for Good and Evil, it really kind of invented middle grade
Mm-hmm.
romantasy because there wasn't this kind of, intense, like heaving romance in middle grade books at that time because it was against the
Heaving.
rules. Well, those of everyone who's read it is like everyone
Heaving.
who's read it is like, oh, there's some heaving romance in there. But I didn't know the rules, so I went big on it and really just like, tried to sell it to publishers, and ultimately that was its big, success point. So, uh, yeah, I think whether you know tropes or you don't know tropes, I think there's a path. You know.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, if you'd like to submit a question to our reader mailbag, you can email it to mail@plottwistpod.net, PLOTTWIST pod.net. And now for plot twists we want to see in the real world
Mm.
this week. I would like publishers to start bidding for authors the way that AI companies are bidding for AI
Uh,
researchers, because, first of all, the amount of money. And second, because I think in the
yeah.
long run, authors are going to be better for our children's soul and the future of sanity and human emotion. And so, any AI companies that just happen to be listening to this and are feeling immensely guilty about what you're doing to the world and how you're stripping books from people who ultimately need them, you can DM us for our Cash App.
I prefer Venmo. Uh, That's the point, though. They don't want emotions.
I
They want to
know.
be these weird, pale South African robots.
I know. The
Peter
hell,
Thiel, what are you doing?
it's like a world full of Mark Zuckerbergs doing
uh,
jujitsu and,
Jiu-jitsu on hydrofoils.
oh, shoot me.
Oh no, we're just mean to tech bros. You're mean. Okay, my plot twist is I want all dresses and pants to have petite options. And I'm really thankful for a lot of companies are now having like petite inseam options. Like I'm getting my 25-inch inseam now on my jeans instead of tripping over myself. But not enough of them. And don't tell me to hem my clothes. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to hem my clothes. I'm just going to buy crop pants and midi dresses. And I'm sick of it. I've had enough. Also, I want all the publishing scammers and like bullshit artists selling coaching courses to just disappear into the mist. Just into the mist. I don't need anything to happen to you. I just need you to not be here anymore. Or I just need people to stop for a second, look 1 inch deeper on these
Hmm.
things and think, I'm not giving you my money.
Yeah.
Because so many people message me and say, like, this la la la, is this good? And I look and I'm like, how could you not tell? The
No.
website's misspelled.
Not gonna
What's
help
going
you get
on?
published, not gonna make you a better
Oh,
writer.
God.
No. But if
Let's
you're
all just be a little more discerning and also maybe come at it from my cynicism of everyone might be trying to scam you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And for our last and new segment of the week,
Yay!
Pup Twist. This is where you want to switch over to YouTube so you can see some pictures of Kirby from Matt in Boston, a 7-year-old Shiba Inu who is a combination of fur and sass with ridiculous cinnamon roll tail, writes Matt. He spends most of the day curled up under my desk while I design book covers and work on writing and illustrating my own books. Not only does he keep me from slacking, he always seems to know when I am, with a sigh and some a side eye, but he's also the inspiration for a picture book I'm working on with a friend. And these pictures of
Oh, these
Kirby are the
pictures.
greatest. Shiba
Shiba
Inus.
Inus are so good. This is for those of you who aren't switching over to YouTube, it's the Doge. Meow. That's the dog as a Shiba Inu, Doge.
And
So we've got ourselves a little perfect Doge.
he needs his own diva button from what I can tell in these pictures.
I'm so excited for Pup Twist to
So
continue.
I can't wait for more of your pets to roll in and tell us about how they help and facilitate your creative life. All right, last but not least, you can find us elsewhere in the universe. Diary of a Novel, my Substack, is my emotional confessions on the dance floor every Tuesday. I publish a diary, and Instagram at SomanC. How about you, Victoria?
Well, now I just want to see you replicate that album cover.
I
The
think
Madonna
I'm gonna do it.
in
I
the
love that
hot
cover.
pants.
And the orange
Please.
wig. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we have to do it at some point.
You can find me and other great ideas like that on TikTok, Substack, and Instagram.
And no more threads.
No more threads.
It
Why
continues.
do I have to keep saying it?
We
They
do.
got it.
We have to. We have to celebrate the achievement every week.
The achievement.
Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you again soon.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Plot Twist is hosted by Victoria Aveyard and Soman Chainani. It's produced and edited by Liam Billiam. Our logos, art, and graphics are by Michael Blank. The music is by Thieves and Louis Adrian. Production support from June Secchia.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to Plot Twist wherever you listen to podcasts and drop us a review to let us know how we're doing. See you next Thursday.